straight into the vast unknown. We get lost from each other. We don't have to find a way back. When we get lost from each other, we can go anywhere, yeah. Far away with you, that's where I'll go. Go straight into the vast unknown. Can we get lost from each other? We don't have to find a way back. Can we get lost from each other? We don't have to find a way back, a way back. I want to get so lost with you, yeah, back, way back. I want to get so lost with you, yeah. Can we get lost from each other? We don't have to find a way back. Can we get lost from each other? We can go anywhere, yeah.
Hold on, we've been muted the whole time. Good call, good call. Hey, welcome. Let's start that again. Well, they can hear us right now, but I went back. The mics were muted, and we're not going through to the stream. That's because I like to be able to talk prior to the stream going live with folks on the call. And then I forgot. Okay, starting over. Hey! How's it going? Happy Thursday to you all. Professional streamer here, Brian Clark, a.k.a. Clarkio, joined with co-host here,
Anish.
And welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday to you all. We got another BuildUpDevs live. It's a great one. It's going to be a good one. I can just feel it. And that is because we have a special guest today. So we're going to introduce our special guest next. Can anybody guess who it is? I mean, we've been plugging the heck out of this the whole time, so I would hope somebody could guess this. So what's it going to be, chat? Who's it going to be? Steve Ballmer? No. Try again. Bald Bearded Builder, good try. Tuckniak, hey, good to see you, says Robert Tables, Kappa. Yes. Rick Astley? I would love to have Rick Astley on, but no, we have even more special guest on stream today, and that is Robert Tables. Yes, we're going to bring Robert Tables on just a moment. Let's get things squared away here. Developers, thank you, Danish. But good to see you all in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, and happy Thursday to you all. Let's bring our guest in, Mr. Robert Tables. There he is, front and center.
Is my mic working?
It should be.
Okay. I'm looking at chat. I see lots of friends in there. It's good to see you again. Good to be back. I think, third time?
I think so. I think we just need to make you a regular co-host every so often, like.
Hey, I mean, Stephen Colbert spun that into like a whole thing.
True. Yeah, and then you just take over. Well, so how are you doing? Happy Thursday to you, Robert Tables. David.
Doing great.
As well, so the people know we're talking to David Poindexter here. I'm glad to hear you're doing great. So as we do in normal fashion with the Build Up Devs Live, we say hello to folks in chat. So if we want to browse through the chat room, say hello to people, welcome them and greet them. And then we're going to get into our Win of the Week section. We need a little jingle maybe for that, right? Like the Win of the Week, something like that. I think
we need Cecil for that.
We probably need Cecil for that, yes. And then after the Win of the Week, we'll get into our topic today, which is Navigating Through the Noise, Part 2, because we had such a long session last week on it, and it drove a lot of really interesting discussion, good discussion to have. And so we're going to expand upon that today with the help of our friend David here, who was very helpful in kind of talking and figuring out topics within what we were talking about that we should expand upon and share and have a discussion around. Okay, so chat, Music Bookworm, good to see you. Bold Bearded Builder, Robert Tables, I see you in chat. That's good to see you there. 2 places. Danish, the same to you. Tuckniak, Chicken Man, Toe Frog, Frackberg. Thank you all so much for being here. Appreciate you being here. And that'll be about that. Tuckniak says, too bad my office hours ends in 50 minutes, but looking forward for your discussion. Okay, cool. No worries. Appreciate you being here nonetheless. Fart is not turned on. Sorry, View Equalizer.
It was turned on. I just have a very directional mic.
Yes. All right. So without further ado, David, why don't for the folks that may not be familiar, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yep. So I'm David Poindexter. I hit the Twitch lottery in naming, so I go by Robert Tables on Twitch. You may see me around in other people's channels as either just a lively commentator, troll, or mod, and those are kind of the same thing. I am a software engineer. I've been one for 15 years now. Career changer, was a truck driver before this. I work for a company called Clean Slate Technology Group right here in the Midwest. I helped start and continue to build our AWS cloud practice. I'm a Twilio champion and an Egghead instructor. That's all the things.
Oh my!
Oh, and allegedly, I used to be a streamer.
Allegedly,
back in the day.
Well, I heard that you might still be a streamer.
Yes, today at 4 p.m. Eastern, we are going to light up. I'll be on my new streaming PC. I've got the new mic, and we're going to start doing themed months. And I have themes planned out through the end of January. And this month, we're starting with Svelte or Sveltember, if you're not familiar with what Svelte is.
Nice. That sounds awesome. That's very exciting. Can't wait to see you light it up again, man.
I hope everything actually works. We'll see.
I'm sure it will. But I mean, as you know, even though I've been streaming, I forget to turn the mics on. So, these things happen.
It's going to be rough.
Excellent. All right. So let's get into our Win of the Week part of the show. And that is, what is something positive that happened to you this week? Maybe something that you're just grateful for to kind of help shift our mindset from focusing and dwelling on the negative too much. Not to be naive or ignore it, but just not to focus on it so much and try to take our minds into a more positive direction. So I will start with the niche. What's your Win of the Week?
my win of the week, I'll just leave a link in the chat.
Okay.
I made this website for one of the fellow Instagrammers, Daniela, and she had this a good idea about how to, what's the best way to explain this thing? So like when you search online, let's say for professional hairstyles, and all you see is very neat hairstyles and it's white people mostly. And when you search unprofessional websites, you see black people with reds or whatever style they choose to have that. And the idea was to like just to make that normal. And she came up with the idea like why not just make these websites simple static single page websites that say these are the professional hairstyles and have everyone there like a diverse collection of all the different pictures of different people. So I just donated a domain name and I made a landing page for the whole project, hoping that it will to GitHub repo and the video she had made, explaining how anyone can contribute, and you can just start adding your own projects. Maybe you can make something for artists from different backgrounds, or photographers. You can do a lot of things with that.
Nice.
Man, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I see Denise shared the link in the chat there. It is algtivism, algtivism.org. So check that out.
I go start that repo real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And then I see in response to Robert Tables, you or Dave, sorry, I'm so used to just calling you Robert Tables, man.
Either's fine. Either's fine.
In response to Robert Tables, Bold Bearded Builder, in response to you talking about lighting up your stream and going live again, Bold Bearded Builder said, "What's the worst that could happen? You end up on the roof." Can you tell us? Can you? I know before we go into more of the win of the weeks, I definitely want to cover that. But I feel like we really need to find out more about what Bold Bearded Builder is talking about here, Robert Tables.
Well, the allegedly used to be a streamer, even though the VODs don't stay forever, and I didn't archive over to YouTube. The clips are still there. So, it was a relatively new roof on this house when I bought it, but after several years stuff kind of starts breaking down, and I just had noticed that like one shingle had blown off the roof, and I'm like, it's one shingle, I figure I could probably just glue it back in place. I didn't want to like rehammer it in or everything, but so I was going to do it myself, and I'm deathly afraid of heights. Like, even living in a 2-story house, I don't look over the edge of the banister. So, yeah, I just decided break out the ladder and get some tools and go up there and glue it. And why not stream it? Why not stream it on Twitch Mobile from my phone? And
nice.
So that happened.
Fantastic. I do remember catching that one live, and that one's definitely going down in the books as one of my favorite streams. That I laughed quite a bit. I laughed quite a bit.
I had to make a highlight reel for my appearance on the Twilio game show Bubble Sort, and there's definitely clips from that in the small 50-second highlight reel.
Yeah.
The appropriate clips.
Nice. That's great. Hey, CLW's in the chat, and I see a question from Pixel Pro. Oh, Hurricane. Pixel Pro asked, the real question is, did the glue hold, Robert Tables, in reference to your Hurricane? Is it Hurricane rated glue that you used on those shingles, I guess, huh?
It's Gorilla Glue. It was construction Gorilla Glue. That one shingle will last longer than the rest of the roof.
Yes. Nice. I also see, and don't want to forget to call out, thank you, Copperbeardy, for the raid, and welcome everybody from Copperbeardy stream. Hope you're all doing well. Happy Thursday, and welcome to a BuildUpDevs Live. And we have special guests today. Robert Tables on the stream, and we're just getting warmed up
Raiders.
Here. We're just chatting, and we're talking about our wins of the week too. So if you have a win of the week, something positive that happened to you, or something that you're just grateful for this week, big or small, maybe you had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and it was delicious and you're just happy about that, drop that as your win of the week in the chat and we'll celebrate with you. CLW says Gorilla Glue is insanely good. It is. It really is.
It's good stuff.
I've used it quite a bit on even like little arts and crafts kind of things, like the little mini container of them really helps. All right. So the new share, or, yeah.
Yeah, got him.
Yep. At first it went right there and then right there. Copper Beardy in the chat says, I'm grateful for my coffee that arrived after 24 hours without any. Oh, grateful for my coffee after 24 hours without any. Nice. Okay. All right. We'll catch up more. Chat, keep dropping your wins of the weeks in the chat room. We'll be happy to get to those in just a moment. But I want to ask now, Robert Tables, what's your win of the week?
So I had a work-related one.
Okay.
So I'm working on this. I'm working with a client. I've only got through the end of next week left, and then I'm on to a different client for probably the rest of the year. But they're doing a data lake in S3, and they're doing ETL, extract, transform, load, from that data lake into a few other databases for further use in analysis. And they didn't know anything about Glue. They didn't have devs that really understood Python. I mean, not that I do, but I do now. And I helped them set up that whole pipeline. And there was one like final step that no one had solved yet, and I figured it out and solved it yesterday. So that there are no more big unsolved things. It's just all small piecing things together. So as daunting as the project was when I got into it, I was like, so I'm going to know one out of the 4 things I'm having to do to get this far and over those hurdles. It's a pretty big win. Yeah.
Dude, congrats on that. That's awesome.
Thanks.
All right, so I'll do my win of the week, and then we'll catch up on some of the things in the chat that people are dropping. So again, keep them coming, chat. What's your win of the week? Something positive that happened this week that you're grateful for, and we'll celebrate with you. I was trying to think of mine. I think the thing that stands out to me the most this week is just I'm grateful for my daughter, in that, well, just for her in general, but also because she's been learning. We've been kind of teaching her how to swim through lessons and stuff like that, and she's made like a great deal of progress on it. And it's just one of those proud dad kind of moments, you know what I mean? So to just see the progress that she had made over this past week with all that, it's been, it's just one of those moments. Like, really proud of her, happy that she's really interested in it, and making skilling up, I guess, in her swimming abilities, So
that's cool.
Yeah. All right, so we got some in the chat too. CLW says, let's pop this up on the stream here. Win of the week, I'm taking time off of Twilio and have become a full-time stay-at-home parent. Didn't think it'd be this enjoyable, but it's been a real joy. What a perfect segue into that. Yeah, that's awesome, Corey. Really happy for you. And yeah, that really is a kind of a nice thing to do, especially during these times, right?
Enjoy that time. It passes quick.
Yes, for sure. It does. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I guess I wanted to expand upon that maybe, but I'm just like, yes, it just goes by fast, even at the young ages. So I feel you on that. You're right. So yeah, congrats, CLW. I should have the bot running so we could at least do the claps, right? So let me spin that up, because I forgot. We can drop some clap emojis in the chat, at least for now, while I'm getting that going. So for people when we're celebrating them and their wins. Right. Come on, bot. Where'd you go? In the meantime, do we see any other wins of the week?
We have a few queued up.
We have a few queued up. Okay, excellent.
I'm trying to keep an eye on it.
No worries. So, LubDub shared in chat their win of the week. I was feeling like as a junior, I was not doing well, and I got a performance review, and my supervisor praised me for the hard work I've been putting in and really appreciated me. I was shocked and almost cried because with everything going on, it has been hard for me. I'm really, really, really happy for you, LubDub. That's amazing. And it's funny because I feel like we had this question in the BuildUpDevs Discord about somebody being more junior, feeling that way. I think I forget, somebody like I think in my DM somewhere was mentioning this too. And yeah, actually, it was one of the students I had worked with for Imagine Cup. Actually, I was messaging with, and they're feeling the same way. So, like, I guess what I want to point out here, and Robert Tables and Danish, if you have anything to add or expand upon this too, but like both of you, knowing both of you are experienced developers, have been in the industry a little bit. I wouldn't, you're not junior, you're not early on in that career in that sense, right? What I want to share at least though is that as a newbie, junior, however you want to kind of title it, somebody that's new to the industry, just landing into that first job, maybe you're going to feel these feelings of like you're too far behind, you're overwhelmed. A lot of the stuff that you're talking about here, LubDub. And the one thing I really want to harp on, especially if you're in that situation where you just landed that first job and you're worried about impressing your team. Your team knows, like, first of all, you got hired for a reason. Okay. You got hired because they feel you're going to bring value to the team. Do they expect you to bring that value to the team on day one? No, not necessarily. And I think that's what tends to be the mindset when we start out and we're in that type of position, is we feel like, oh, on the first day, I have to be like going 100%, 1,000 miles an hour and producing and being performant, being high performing developer right off the bat. And that's not the case. And that's not the expectation of your teammates. So I think this is kind of a case in point right here, LubDub, right? You were feeling that a little bit, and your review from your supervisor is like, hey, you're doing great. Don't fret, don't sweat it. You're being too hard on yourself. So that's what I want to share there for the folks that are just getting started as developers. You're feeling a little of those same feelings that LubDub shared in that type of role. And Robert Tables, Danish, if you have anything to add to that, maybe some advice for folks in that type of position, please share it.
Well, I can say that it's very normal for everyone to feel that way. Like even after 3 years, I still feel like I have nothing important to add, and I'm always asking for more work. Like just to feel that I'm adding value to the work the company is doing, and I still feel like I'm not doing enough. But your seniors will always be there to just tell you, like, it's fine. You're just doing great. I mean, they're still there, so you're not doing bad. Yeah, that's all.
I think that, well, first off, congratulations. That's got to be extremely relieving to, think that, oh, I'm a junior. You kind of don't know what to expect. But here's maybe now that you've gone through that and your experience was, if I'm understanding this correctly, there was some period of time where you were unsure if you were doing good or bad. And then at the end, the suspense was lifted because you were finally told you were doing good. I think it's an example of even senior devs and management don't always do the best at what they should be doing, like providing you feedback along the way. You really shouldn't be going an amount of time not knowing whether you're fulfilling expectations or not. So it's just as you as a junior had this feeling, I don't know if I'm doing great. Just because someone's a senior doesn't mean they're always doing great too at all the things.
Yeah, excellent advice. Would you say then, Robert Tables, that like you would urge people to look for feedback from their leadership, from their supervisors on a more frequent basis then?
Yeah, and I think that even this particular instance, that you kind of get over that emotional, wow, that's great. I'm so relieved that I'm doing well, and maybe just kind of sit on that and enjoy the victory for, a little bit, and then maybe schedule some time with either them or other people that you think maybe had input into that kind of a decision and say, hey, can we talk a little bit more often, at like, depending on the level and access you have to the person. But I would say, get at the very least a monthly, view it as a mini review, because you shouldn't be coming to that point of there's some impending decision coming through, do you or don't you get a raise, and you really have no idea how you fare. Like that is kind of unfair on you, and depending on how you phrase it, they'll probably remember back to their days. Maybe they're all experiencing that too, and they can say, wow, Junior over here with the big brain, Maybe we ought to talk about this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Excellent advice. Thank you for sharing that, Robert Tables. And I hope that helps LubDub and folks that are also in that position feel a little bit more at ease about the situation that you might be in. All right. Thank you again for sharing that. I think the bot is working, so we should be able to do applause.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
That is not going in my ears for some reason. Is it working? No.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, you know why? Another professional streamer moment. I have to have that browser source opened up to hear the sounds. That would do it. Let's try this again. It's a little loud. Turned it down. There we go.
All right. I heard it.
Oh, awesome. And thank you for the claps in the chat, CLW and friends. All right, so some more win of the weeks. Next one up, we got Pixel Pro. Pixel Pro says, won third place in a company hackathon out of 36 entries. Nice.
Dang.
That's pretty cool. Tell us a little bit more about the project, if you don't mind sharing. That's all if you can. But congrats on that. Well done. Hackathons are pretty fun, and that's awesome that your company does those kind of things, Pixel Pro. While we're waiting to hear from Pixel Pro, the next win of the week from Chad Allen. Chad Allen says, I was asked to conduct my first React screening/interviews after only a year and a half of being there. Well, that's cool. That's fun. Let's get a round of applause for Chad. Well done.
Means you apparently they think you know enough to be able to tell whether someone else knows enough, I guess, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's a lot of growth.
In a short period of time, too. I like it. Mm-hmm. Tuckniak, next win of the week. Tuckniak says, I didn't get job after 3 interview rounds, and I'm not mad about it. It gave me even more motivation to study harder. Oh my gosh. My man, that is a great.
That's a great attitude to have.
Yes, that is the right mentality to have, right? Here's I imagine you're feeling this too, but to expand upon that a little bit, those 3 rounds of interviews gave you a lot of learning that a lot of learning about yourself and how you're doing in interviews and about how other companies are interviewing. And I feel like you can use that to jumpstart you into the next. You're going to do even better in the next interview that you get. So wish you the best of luck with that. And I'm really glad that you have that type of attitude with the whole thing. And Tuckniak says, thank you all. Lots of love and chat for Tuckniak. Appreciate the community here. They're all awesome. TBD Gamer with their win of the week. I got my bot working to shout out live coders on screen and integrated Cody and Olive in my stream finally. That's fantastic. That's pretty cool.
Oh, nice. I wonder if people are unfamiliar with Cody and Olive. Here, I've got a link for this.
Okay, let's drop that. Chat for folks. And then just to follow up, while you're getting that link, Robert Tables, Pixel Pro followed up on that hackathon project, says it's a REST interceptor for testing apps. You can toggle latency errors and augment response payloads without code changes. Dang.
Nice.
That's
pretty
really
dope.
Yeah, that's really handy. All right.
Huh.
And then Pixel Pro will go.
If it's open source, feel free to drop a link to where the source is if you want to share, or if you can share.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, don't be shy. We don't mind people dropping links or self-promotion a little bit here to some degree. All right, I think that does it for the wins of the week part of the show. Now that drops us into the whole kit and caboodle, the meat and potatoes. Insert another expression here that may not be understandable for all folks on the stream. The main part of the show, navigating through the noise part 2, and in particular, I forgot to put this up here. In particular, we're going to be talking about 3 points, right? Right, Robert Tables? Right, David?
Mm-hmm.
What are those 3 points? Which one are we going to start with today? Which one would you like to start with today, since you are a special guest?
I got to pull it back up. I closed Discord.
So did I. To save
It's a
some
resource
CPU
hog.
It is.
Hang on, I'll grab it. Hold on. It'll do it.
It's
I
loading.
wonder, should we go by votes? I mean, there was one that got more votes out of the three.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Up to you.
Yeah, let's do that. And while we're waiting for that to come up, I'm gonna remind
I got
people
it.
to mention it. Like, since you mentioned votes, if you were like, "Hey, I didn't get a chance to vote," the way you could do that is through the BuildUpDevs Discord. The link to join there is in the chat from Stream Elements right there. And Robert Tables had dropped a message in the BuildUpDevs live topic channel to prep people for what we were talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so which one got the most votes?
The one that got the most votes is, what does satisfaction look like to people? It's specifically job satisfaction.
Yes.
Then the other two are financial considerations when entering the industry, and then financial motivations when changing jobs once in the industry. So those are the three, but the satisfaction one technically got the most votes.
Okay, so let's start with that. And I guess the idea is we're having a discussion as a community of like, what does satisfaction in a job look like to you? So share your thoughts, your opinions on that in the chat room, and we'll just be facilitating that discussion as part of the BuildUpDevs Live today. And that's something I also want to keep in mind here, because I know, David, you kind of pointed this out to me from last stream, that there were some points in time where it felt like I was saying something, I was saying my opinion, or I was expressing my opinion in a way that it was like, it's the only way, it's the right way kind of thing. And so if that is ever, and I want to put this out to other people too, if I or the niche or any of the guests that we have on the show, if it ever comes across that way, please call us out on it and be like, hey, think about it from this other perspective, right? Where, I make mistakes, but I want to learn from them. And the only way I'm going to be able to, I or us are going to be able to learn from them is if we are made aware of it, right? And so if that's the case, please, I hope you feel comfortable here as part of this BuildUpDevs community to voice that and bring that up with us all right? Because again, the niche and I and any of the guests that we have on, like Robert Tables here, it's just about community and having a discussion. It's not about us being authoritative figures or like saying our way is the right way and that the rest can go off kind of thing. It's nothing like that. So just a heads up on that in case people feel that might be coming across that way through these types of discussions. All right. So that said, I guess, David, what's your kind of thoughts on what satisfaction looks like in a job as a developer? I guess let's keep it maybe specific to that.
Yeah, I would say specific to that industry, because I've had positions in other industries. There's a reason I'm not in those anymore. And also, I want to say that, I may mention the fact that I've been doing this for 15 years, but in the context of these discussions, it's only to point out the variety of experiences I've been able to have over those 15 years, but it's in no way an appeal to authority, like because I'm gray-bearded and did it for 15 years, for some reason I know something you don't. It's just an explanation for like, why have you had this many experiences in this much variety? It's just a length of time thing. And I failed for 15 years. I mean, that's all it is.
It like that's to me, that's the truth,
It's
right?
the truth. I mean,
we're failing and learning as we progress through this career. So with that, I'm setting up the feature chat to show the topic so people can know, and feel free to drop this in the chat room too. So the question we're discussing is, what does satisfaction in a developer job look like to you? And so what does that mean? The niche, what does that look like to you? What brings you satisfaction as a developer, or what you look for in a job as a developer?
I think it's a pattern that I had that even when I was a designer, that I prefer working in small companies, small teams.
Okay.
Not large corporations, and not even service industries. And the reason for it is I like working on products, and working in the small team just makes me feel like I'm doing enough and I'm contributing to something, and it can be very easy to just be lost in a very large company, and at least you feel like you're not contributing enough, or it's not visible that much as it is in small teams. So for like always, I just prefer working in this type of small startups that are in their early stages, and I just see that I'm constantly doing something and improving, and then when they are acquired or they are, I feel like I've done enough, I just move to something else. Just keep on doing the same thing.
Nice. Okay.
So for that is for me is satisfaction for me.
Nice. All right, Robert Tables, I don't think you fully got to maybe some more concrete like attributes in terms of a job that you would say find you find satisfaction in a developer job. So could you expand upon that and share your thoughts on that a bit more?
Yeah, I think that I think that I want to make the distinction between satisfaction and motivation, because I think that motivation can change over time. When you have very large outside of work life events happen to you, like getting married, getting divorced, having a child, losing a family member or child, moving, bankruptcy, all these big things, your motivations can change over your lifetime. So satisfaction itself, I think for me, is more about what is the outcome of the work I'm doing, because the work itself, like even the work byproducts, don't last forever.
Mm.
Even working in a service industry, the service you provide may not be around in 2 years. The people you work with may not, the team may not be around. Even with products get deprecated all the time, or maybe they have rewrites, and so particular contributions, they don't even exist in source control anymore. So like those are kind of like the byproducts of, those are the artifacts of the work that you're doing. And I think a lot of times people focus a lot on that, like, oh, so many discussions, tabs, spaces, code quality, unit test. These, we're talking about all of the artifacts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the byproduct of the work itself that I think gives me satisfaction, knowing did I help someone today? Did I solve someone's problem today? It could be an end user, it could be a member of your own team, but at the end of the day, was there something that you did that helped someone to a degree that they'll remember that you helped them with that thing? To me, I find that extremely satisfying.
Nice. Okay. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Let's take some notes or some input from the chat room. I see TBD Gamer shared some of their thoughts on what satisfaction means to them in the developer role. TBD Gamer says, what I consider satisfaction has changed over my career. Fair enough. Right now, I would measure my satisfaction by my ability to make a change in how my team is growing and succeeding in delivering. Earlier in my career, satisfaction would be based on how cool the technology I was working on.
Fair. Yeah.
Like that, actually, I feel seen a little bit with that too, because that reminds me too, like when I was earlier on in my career, I definitely felt the same. Like I just was always like, oh, Angular or, whatever the cool technology was at that point in time. I was like, I need to go.
Just deciding to come back to streaming and pick up something brand new like Svelte because you heard about it.
Yeah.
Seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, man, I feel seen about that. But then, yeah. So I'm curious to maybe like unpack that a bit more, right? With TBD Gamer, it's like what drove that change from focusing on the cool technology being the, like, whether you're satisfied in the job or not, if you get to work on that cool technology versus what you feel today, right? Right now, it's by the ability to make a change, how your team is growing and succeeding in delivering, right? That is interesting to me. I kind of want to unpack that a bit more.
And I don't want to presume I don't want to presume what how long that took to change, but because of the next sentence earlier in my career, I don't want to guess what like actual timeline that means, but there was some duration where that was the case, and then over some time that became not the case. And I think that that's completely fine. And I mean, it may happen that way to some people, or I could argue that earlier in your career, it is important to be using newer things because maybe that whole new thing won't be around, but there's something about the new thing compared to the old that would be a good thing to learn.
Hmm.
Even if React wasn't around, reactive programming is a thing that you need to know about, right? Even if Node goes away, the concept of event-driven systems design will stay. And when you're at the beginning of your career, like, it's not only important to learn as much as possible because then you kind of like diversify the potential next employers and products you could work on, but you won't really know what kind of thing you like until you've at least done a couple of things. And early I feel early for me was a bad time to get stuck in a very large product with established technologies with no possibility of anything new. And for me, it was like, oof, I can't stay stuck in this forever. You know, I'm brand new.
Why did you feel that way? Why did you feel like you could potentially be stuck in that? What gave you that feeling?
I think earlier I was just observing that many of my colleagues in this position and working with this technology had a tendency to stick with what they knew, and things kind of settle on a thing, but didn't. This may not have anything to do with that, but it appeared that the vast majority of my colleagues also did not experiment with new technologies outside that stack and that product that they were working on.
Hmm.
And that's fine because I mean, you know, I'm not expecting people work outside of office hours to learn new tech, but the problem is if you're not learning new tech, you kind of will, you know, the time flies. The next thing you know, you're going to be like, I've been doing this for 15 years and this is literally the only stack I've ever worked in. I feel that's risky.
Yeah. No. I hear you on that. I definitely feel like I've experienced some situations like that too. Danish, what about you? What are your thoughts on it?
I think as a designer, I spend a lot of time working in different industries and as a freelancer, and also I had a few jobs along the way. So that is completely different than the tech industry because things are not changing as much. But what changed was that I saw these differences between having a job and then the benefits and the pros and cons of both jobs and freelancing and what I was capable of doing. And in the end, I just realized that I'm not fit for a design job, but I was also not a great freelancer because I don't have the marketing skills. So after like the span of 15 years, my whole thought process changed when I became a developer. Like I just learned, nothing is going to stay the same in the tech industry, and things always change. But that thing always stuck with me. Like I just like working on products because I'm a product-driven person. I worked in service industry as a designer, and I don't enjoy that much because I can't deal with. I don't know how to deal with some type of people, and sometimes you find these things. I don't have those skills. So that was one of the reasons I failed as a designer, as a freelancer. And
Gotcha.
so I just because products, you just have a roadmap on products that you try to build gradually. Whereas things are different in service industries.
Yeah. All right. I see from Music Bookworm in the chat too, their thoughts on job satisfaction. So let's hear from them. Music Bookworm says, for me, a role where my contributions are appreciated and the projects I'm working on make others' jobs, lives, etc. better. That is definitely, yeah, that's a great. I feel that. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Robert Tables, Danish? Do you feel like that's something that potentially is part of what you would consider job satisfaction?
I think so.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
one thing that drew me to, I had experience at a startup, and Uh, Obviously, the fact that I was going to be able to get paid at a startup and I wanted startup experience factored heavily in choosing this company. But the thing that I liked about it was they were very mission and value driven, and it was in the med device industry and focused a lot on how what we did is we were building a SaaS platform for med device manufacturers to get and maintain their FDA clearance. And what motivated us is that by using this instead of older paper-driven and mistake-prone ways, we were able to help manufacturers get their devices to market quicker and keep them safe through quality control. And we would meet with, I mean, we're just the dev team making this SaaS platform, but our whole company thought it was important that we hear the stories about, like, this particular company is doing this and this is how it's going to save lives. This is how it can help. And that was really the motivator for, like, the entire company. And I think it was my first time really understanding that that type of thinking is the thing that brings me satisfaction. Just concretely knowing there is something you're doing that is helping someone.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it could be applied to even outside. You know, I know we're trying to keep it specific to jobs and developer jobs, but like even outside of that, like what it's kind of like when you give somebody something about, like you bring value to somebody's life and improve them somehow, however that may be, you put a smile on their face kind of thing. It's just, there's a lot of satisfaction in doing that. Denise, do you have maybe a past experience with, like, you know, how David shared in his experience? Do you happen to have something that comes to mind where you feel like you came to that realization of having that as part of this, what is satisfying about working in your role, maybe even your current role?
Think.
No pressure
I
or
don't
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I didn't have any experience because I was just working with small companies, just helping them with their marketing materials. There wasn't really life-changing work that I was doing. It was just pure capitalism. um, so no, none of those experience so far.
Okay. Fair enough. That's fine. Yeah, it's all right. I don't mean to put either of you on the spot or anybody in chat on the spot. I was just trying to drive discussion, make sure everybody can provide their input and feel heard. That at least afforded me some time to think of a situation. And actually, the one that comes to mind is something more, the most recent one, which I described as my win of the week last week. So I help manage a Twitch channel, and on that channel, there's a team that helps contribute to the streams on it. And they really want to get the analytics data, like how many people watch it, you know, what were the total number of live views, that sort of thing. And Twitch doesn't really, through their like API, provide that very cleanly. And the only other way,
it depends on which API, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I'm not here to, like, you know, rag on Twitch and all that, but like it's a little bit more cumbersome and challenging to get that information, to be able to make that information more shareable. So what I was doing for several months was I was going into the analytics view of that account, screenshotting things and sending it to them in email. Very manual, very, I don't know, just tedious little thing to have to do every week kind of thing, right? And so then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try and hack something together. And I got a little tool together where they can describe like a start and end time of when they expect that stream to be, that they had a stream on the channel. And they were just, I felt very, it was very rewarding to see them be so happy to be able to just get the information themselves instead of having to, because I knew that they felt bad, like pinging me saying, hey, Brian, we haven't gotten that email from you just yet, because I wasn't always the best about doing it, trying to balance it with all my other work. And so that was a satisfying, satisfaction in the job where I built something that brought value to somebody and they were happy about that too. So I don't know when's the first time I ever felt that, though. I would have to think back, and nothing's really standing out to me at the moment. But that's fine.
Have you ever automated something that helps other people and also makes your job easier, and then never told them that you automated it, so they just think you're a superhero?
I don't. Nothing comes to mind with that. Do you have an example that you want to share?
Not that I want to share.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
because I may or may not still be doing it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so we have some other thoughts in the chat room. Or Danish, were you going to say something? Or Robert Tables? I thought I heard you start speaking. Okay. CLW shares his thoughts. Satisfaction for me is very much about flexibility. I love being able to change the parameters of how I do what I do so that I can create the biggest impact I can. I love that a lot.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Like being able to have personal agency in decisions that directly impact how you do what you do. That sounds pretty powerful to me. Yeah.
Danish, what are your thoughts? If you're talking, you're on mute, buddy. I think he's switching.
Trying to stand up.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. I was like, his camera's moving. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, none so far.
Okay, fair enough. So to me, I guess I have a question though. So I agree with it definitely, but this question to you both and anybody in chat, Corey, CLW in chat, do you feel that? And this I think is I'm posing this question knowing that everybody's going to have probably a different answer. Maybe some people will have similar answers, maybe not. But like, do you feel like, because that sounds a little bit like about being able to have autonomy, the ability to figure out what you should do, right? Kind of what Corey's talking about. So it's autonomy. Do you feel like for you as an individual, is there having too much autonomy or too little autonomy? Like what's that look like for you all as individuals in terms of being able to figure out what you should do for your job, right? If you have that freedom to just, you get to figure it out and your leadership doesn't kind of point you in a direction or tell you exactly what to do, what's kind of your situation that you feel is best that works for you?
I haven't 100% solved that for myself, but I can tell you my thoughts so far.
Okay.
Is that I definitely know that I do not work very well when I don't have autonomy. But in kind of previous memories where I have felt maybe that there's too much autonomy, I don't feel that it has actually been too much autonomy. I think that it has been autonomy without having a support system to rely on. And it can take the place like an example, it can look like this. Here is a project, this has to get done, go figure it out. Kind of that sort of a story setup. And then you really, that from that point on, you're carrying that torch. Like, you have to go figure out, well, how do we clarify what done looks like? What are we actually evaluating? What are our metrics that we can select to say, are we even doing the right thing? What does happy look like at the end of it? And it's just too much go figure it out. They're misunderstanding the part that I like to go figure stuff out. I don't like to go figure everything out. I don't want to reinvent agile development. I don't want to reinvent recruiting candidates and all of that. That's not the part that I like to figure out. You know, those are solved things, and having support to help manage some of that will free people up to do the things that the creative human mind is made for, and that is the thing that I was wanting to be able to go figure out.
I love that. I think you hit spot on. That's interesting to hear your perspective on it as well, Rob Tables. Danish, what are your thoughts on how your level of autonomy that works best for you, right, with your job in terms of just freedom to figure out what to work on?
I think I have that, and I prefer that rather than strict rules. Just sorry, Freddie is here. I'm just trying to.
No problem.
So yeah, I definitely prefer that. But just like David, I don't want to do everything on my own. So if, for example, if like I have the the option to choose whatever I want to work on, and I can move between different projects at any time. That's good for me because if I feel at some point that I'm done contributing to this one and I can't help anymore, I can just move to something else. I just don't want to stay stuck in something, until the project is over, like that, unless it's asked of me.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. And then for me, I think I like having some freedom to figure out what's the right direction to head in, but I also like having a little nudge in the right direction, at least current state of things for me, and the way I work. So in the past, I've been in situations where it's like I don't have a lot of opportunity to voice my opinion and what I think I should be working on and how I feel like I'll bring the most impact to the team or to the company. And then there's been situations where I may have too much autonomy and I'm like, I think this is the right thing to do, but I would love a little more, some validation, that kind of, you know what I mean? Like I would love to know that I'm headed in the right direction and other people agree with that. The other thing with that sometimes is like, maybe you're, for lack of a better term, I don't really like using this, but maybe you're pioneering, and maybe you're figuring out a new way that no one else really knows whether it's valid or not. But it's good to try and be the one to experiment with it and learn from it, because even if it doesn't work out, you learn from it, right?
I would say that it kind of depends on if your company's willing to pay for that potentially wasted effort.
Sure.
If you are pioneering, trying to figure out some new thing, back in the pioneer days in the US, a lot of people died because that wasn't the right way to go. So it's like, is your employer okay with that? And if not, then there's got to be some sort of like risk mitigation and say, well, then how can we avoid this thing that we know we don't want to pay for as a completely wasted effort? What are tiny milestones that we could say, okay, are we going in the right direction? And how do you measure that? And who gets to decide what right looks like?
Yeah. No, it's very, very good point. I see Corey followed up on this too to talk about the autonomy. Corey said, CLW in chat says, so with that autonomy, you've got to put some structure in place to validate assumptions, ask questions, and then assume some risk. Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. And thank you for sharing that. All right. Then I saw TBD Gamer expanded upon what they shared earlier, talking about the shift from what satisfaction is for them, right? Earlier on, they were talking, just to remind and get everybody back into that context, TBD Gamer had shared that earlier on in their career, they found satisfaction to be focusing on like what technology, what cool technology, and being able to work on that would be satisfying versus what they are today, and that is having an impact, positive impact on people. So TBD Gamer expands upon this, and my shift came when I was told you are leading without knowing I was leading. It changed my mindset, knowing others were following my example. I could remain excited about technology, but thinking about others, I took more from helping those around me come up with me rather than just pushing myself, and it's evolved from there. There's
a lot to that.
Yeah, holy cow. So
there's a lot of stuff inside that container.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Always the call back to the containers. I love it. All right, so where do you want to begin with that, Robert Tibbs? What are some thoughts that came to mind with TBD Gamer sharing that?
I have a few. I think the phrase that you were told that you are leading without knowing that you were leading, and that's a really important one to keep in mind, is that you don't decide to lead. You simply happen to be a leader if people follow you. That's it. That is the definition. Otherwise, you're not actually a leader. You have been assigned subordinates.
Yeah.
Right. And anyone in any position can be a leader. Are people following you? Wow, you are a leader now. You have to really be smart about that, The other part in there, I think it's kind of interesting, is there's something to the getting more from helping those around you, because it reminds me of this. I can't credit anyone in particular, because a lot of people started talking about the same topic. But when that whole 10x developer thing was going on, right?
Which always seems to keep coming back, right? Have you noticed that? It's like a cycle.
Yeah, because it's absolutely absurd, and it's the absurdity that we focus on because it's either fun or it's saying something about us as a society in a way that makes us more comfortable to talk about, right? That's where those phrases like come from. But anyway, the thing that I was thinking with that is people were starting to come around to this idea that a better image of what a 10x developer would look like is that they make everyone around them more productive and happier. It's less about the individual effort. It's more about are you focusing on those around you and making those 10 people better? Then you can say you're a 10x developer, right? That's kind of the thought. And that statement was, kind of spot on to where they were getting to the point where they enjoyed helping others be better more than focusing on personal pursuit.
For sure. I mean, and what's that expression? I always mess it up, but it's like rising tides lift all boats, right?
Lift all ships. Yeah.
Lift all ships, boats. Yeah. Don't ever say a boat. Don't ever describe a cruise ship as a boat. People get offended by that. Yeah.
There's a huge difference between a ship and a boat.
Yes. And then whether there's containers on that ship or not, right?
True. And kind of one of the definitions is that the distinction between a ship and a boat is that a boat could fit on a ship, except submarines are called boats.
Wait.
Yes. Submarines are always boats, but have you seen the size of like a Trident-class submarine? That's not fitting on a ship. But naming things is hard, I guess.
All right. We'll have to save that for another time because like that
Sure.
I don't quite understand, but
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So anyway, back to the expression. Rising tides lift all ships and boats and any other buoyant vessels of people. Physics. But yeah, so you get the idea. The thought behind the expression is what Robert Tables was talking about. It's just a way to describe it or express that, right? And that is, helping others, and what TBD Gamer was talking about, that feeling of satisfaction when you help other people and help them you lift them up with you, which perfect little tie into Build Up Devs. We're building each other up here by learning and discussing these things. So yeah. All right. So some other things in chat, getting back to the autonomy a little bit too. Salty Biscuit, a very salty biscuit wizard. I love the name. Good to see you back. Says it depends on the person, referring to autonomy. I like having freedom to figure things out, but I need a safety net to know I am not completely alone. Yes, I agree. I think I'm with you on that one as well. I feel that about autonomy. TBD Gamer shared a bit more. Says I have a lot of autonomy right now, but it's bitten me because I've put things in place to help. It's bitten me because I put things in place to help that our larger organization won't support. Okay, yeah. So it's become wasted effort, which in turn has knocked my morale and motivation at times. That's tough. Yeah.
And that's the trade-off, right? That is the trade-off where if you simply say, I will be satisfied with more autonomy, the phrase is too broad. You need to communicate more about what does that actually mean, because you risk the chance of a very simplified phrase being understood by the other side completely differently than how you were meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. All right, so I think we definitely talked about autonomy quite a bit. This all sparked from the question of like, what does satisfaction in a developer job look like to you? And folks are sharing their thoughts and opinions on that. A question though from Ronin Bites that I want to make sure we get to, that was in the chat earlier. So they're kind of just putting the thought out there, saying they wonder how uncommon it is for experienced devs to feel job satisfaction when mentoring a junior and taking a young dev under their wing. And I think that it's kind of a common theme maybe we're feeling here with folks that have kind of progressed a little bit more. They've been in the industry a little bit more. They're not as new to it. There's this transition period maybe where I wouldn't say everybody goes through this, right? Because maybe there's like you kind of were describing, we're not going to make an assumption here that this is the passage that you must follow to progress in your career. But it seems like there's quite a bit of this that happens where as you progress and get more experience in your career, part of the satisfaction you get out of that as a developer is helping lift up other developers. right? Helping mentor them, taking them under the wing. So I feel like it's common, but I wouldn't say it's necessary in order to find satisfaction.
I think that uh, depending on your impression of mentoring, that can be a very, very different thing. Like, I don't want to mentor 10 people. Like, that is a large investment. It's an emotional investment. But I view that completely separate from helping out new developers. Like, you don't have to quite go that far. And that's why I do things like come on shows like this, like stream on Twitch, like participate in Discord communities, try to share my thoughts and knowledge about things, because I do want to help people, but I wouldn't take it as far as I would like to mentor the Twitch dev community. Like, that's a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah.
Mentoring can look differently to other people, but my understanding is that it's definitely more involved than I'm just going to help you get started programming and negotiate salary negotiations and stuff like that. Like, it's pretty personal.
Yeah, so I guess we're talking about here, right, is you're distinguishing between mentoring and then just helping developers at a more broad level by sharing advice and thoughts, right? Whereas mentoring is like, hey, it's more hands-on. You need to figure out the individual's kind of goals and ideas and what their personality is like, even, what do they find valuable to them, so forth.
And I think from what from stories that I've heard from people who have had great experiences is that the mentee sought out the mentor, not the other way around. A mentor shouldn't be assigned to a person. It should be the person that is wanting to be mentored to find who is the person that you trust and want to get that from. And it may not be your direct supervisor. In fact, it rarely is.
Yeah, it's fair. I feel like we could probably unpack that even more too, in like terms of having a discussion on, hey, if you're looking for mentorship, how do you go about doing that? Right.
Right.
That could be another potential topic we discuss in the future.
I definitely can see that being involved in job satisfaction, where if you have the opportunity to be mentored, then as someone wanting that, if that is there, that would be incredibly satisfying, valuable, definitely. But if you are also wanting to be a mentor to someone and there's at least some kind of support from the employer that can allow that to happen, then that person has found something that does satisfy them.
Yeah. I see TBD Gamer mentions that on the topic of a mentor-mentee, one of the live coder teammates has started a podcast on mentorship. And TBD Gamer shared a link to that. So if folks that are interested in that kind of discussion, a podcast on that to learn more about that from a fellow live coder teammate, go check it out. Thank you for sharing the link, TBD Gamer. I see LubDub in chat shared something. Speaking from a junior perspective, I struggle emotionally, imposter syndrome, which affects the technical aspect. And let's get that highlighted. Thank you so much. I struggle emotionally, imposter syndrome, which affects the technical aspect of producing. I feel like if I can get past the fear of failing, since I am so new, I can be better or stronger.
Do I have bad news for you?
Who the hell cares?
Damn it, I thought I turned those off. Sorry. You have news for LubDub, you were saying?
Yes, boy, do I have bad news. I apologize in advance for being the bearer of bad news, but that there's not like a thing you're going to do or a length of time you have to struggle through when that just goes away.
Yeah.
That you're probably going to be better served by thinking of ways that you can mitigate the bad effects of imposter syndrome or something, because that's it. It's you're always going to have that.
Sure. Danish, what do you think? Have you struggled with it?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, I still do. Like, at this point in time, I'm still struggling with it. Because I just feel like I'm not doing enough. But every now and then my CTO would go like, no, you're doing fine. It's just Just focus on the new things and keep learning.
I have found one technique. This may help others.
Okay.
One technique that I have had. I mean, there have been days where I'm looking up the most basic thing in JavaScript. I'm really feeling this with Python right now. And it's the same with other stuff like AWS. Like, I know that I've used this service before. Why do I remember nothing about it? Those kind of things. Or some problem presents itself that I really do not feel confident that I'm ever going to solve it. What I think about is, historically, I have a 100% success rate. I have always figured it out. Sometimes it has been painful. Sometimes I have enlisted help. Sometimes I have paid for help. But I have always solved the problem somehow. And, you know, it's not like the stock market. You know, you could sit here and say, well, you know, past performance is not indicative of future results. Your results may vary. I do like to think about, I have felt this way before, and I have a 100% success rate. Why am I afraid of, is this really going to be that one rock? I thought it was last time, and it wasn't. So that is a thing that, it doesn't get rid of it, but it helps me say, okay, you're allowed to have 5 minutes to sit here and be scared to death that this will be that rock, and then you need to move on and put that in a container and put it on the shelf, and then move on with your day and solve the problem. I don't know if that'll help anyone, but for me, it just clicks up here.
I find that interesting a little bit, though, in that, like, because I gotta imagine there's been times where what I find interesting about what you shared, Robert Tables, is the 100% success rate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like there's I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I feel like there's got to have been a time, not to discourage anybody, but I'm just saying, there's been a time where I've not been able to figure something out, and it just was like, you know what, we got to move on, kind of thing. I just got to go about it a different way or something.
No,
you know
that is what I'm saying. Is
Okay.
you may come to that realization that we need to rethink this problem. We need to approach it from a different direction. We need to add in some other intermediate thing to help us get to where we want for the end solution. But that end solution has always been reached somehow. It may take a few pivots and a few changing of things that technically are not a great idea, like trying to implement multi-threading in Node. Don't do it. But, you know, the end result problem has always been solved somehow, so I don't see why a particular one thing is all of a sudden going to be my undoing. And even if I'm lying to myself, it doesn't matter. It allows me to take that feeling, put it in a box, move on with my day, you know?
Gotcha. All right, I understand better now what you were saying with that. I see we have another highlighted message from a very salty biscuit wizard. It's regarding imposter syndrome. I think most people feel that when they hit that point, when they are no longer novices. Oh, sorry, I read that with the wrong kind of tone. I think most people feel imposter syndrome when they hit that point, when they are no longer novices. No matter how much praise I get for the stuff I do well on, I'm always hanging on those gaps in my knowledge or things I screw up. It's nice to know that this is normal. I think it will help me focus on growing. Well, that's fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
And Full Stack Live joined us. Good to see you, Full Stack Live. Saying hi to everybody. All right, so I know we've been going for quite some time. I know there's more that you want to discuss, David. Do you feel we covered what does? Well, go ahead.
I think we might take those other two and we could do it another time, or maybe get some discussion going in the Discord.
Okay.
I didn't actually think that we were gonna get this much input on this one, but I'm really happy that we've touched on something that, you know, everyone seems very interested in.
Yeah, for sure. No, and this was what I was kind of a little bit wondering or suspecting might happen, is that we would get really into even just one of these things. And TBD Gamer's like, I'm chatty. It's good. That's what this is about.
That's
so
what it's for. I mean, the reason we had multiple topics is more from like a production standpoint. That if your first one goes really quickly, then what, right? So they consider them as backup ones.
Yeah.
They're good to talk about, but, you know, the Discord is also where we can have a very good discussion about it. We have a channel for the topic discussions, dedicated for that.
Yes, very true.
And
And
if you have other new ones, drop them in there, right? That's the place to do it.
Yep. And thank you for plugging that. And the link to join that, folks, if you're not already in the Build Up Devs Discord, is right there from Stream Element Spot, that discord.gg link. All right, so with that, let's start wrapping up. But before we do that, Robert Tables, let's do a reminder of like what you're going to be doing today.
Yeah.
What's going on with you?
Because there may be some people in here that didn't hear this before. If this is a repeat, just pretend I didn't say it. But I am going to start streaming again today at 4 p.m. Eastern. And we are going to start with probably a lot of technical difficulties. I'm a little rusty at this, but we are going to be doing monthly themed streams. And this month, being that is September, we're going to start with Svelte, a front-end library that I have no experience with. I don't have anything set up for it. We're going to start from the very basics and do an entire month of just what is Svelte, how do we use it, and it's called Svelte Timber. And I've got these monthly themes planned out through the end of January, and with the help of a fellow live coder, I actually have little logos and graphics for it. So, yes, I will be doing those things. CLW is happy. It's like finally I can come in and harass you. Oh no, Brian, I think you're mute.
Yep, I'm mute.
Oh, all right.
I was just agreeing. I was like, yes, good to see CLW. Very happy. And I was like, yeah. And very happy to see that. I dropped some links so that people can find you online, your Twitter, your Twitch, twitch.tv/Robert Tables, your GitHub account. People want to follow along with the projects you might be working on and so forth. I think I covered all the links, right? That you'd like to share?
I have one more.
You have one more? Or drop it in there.
You can also... Boop. I did that with the Stream Deck button, by the way. My personal website should probably start plugging that a little bit more. But yeah, use the Stream Deck to plug my buttons.
Excellent.
On someone else's show.
No, it's all good. That's what we want. Good to have you on the show, David. Thank you so much. And let's plan to maybe even the next week plan to see if we can continue to talk about those topics that were posed in the Discord. So we can keep the conversation.
By the way, congratulations. The layout for the guest layout is fantastic. This stream is looking really good.
Shout out to the niche over there, Mr. Designer Eye.
That's dope stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, the niche. Applause to the niche for that. Let's get that in the chat.
Thank you.
Does a
I
fantastic
didn't
job.
hear it, by the way.
What's that?
I didn't hear the applause, by the way.
You didn't hear it?
Oh, I heard it. Weird.
Let's play it one more time. Can you hear it?
I think he's lying. He just wants more applause.
No. Because I don't hear it.
You did a great job. Sorry, I didn't get that. You were right. Wait, say it again?
Yeah. What, you want a third time now, the niche? No, I'm just kidding.
No,
but
it's
yes.
fine. It's fine.
Yes, great job on the graphics for having a guest on. And we need to probably get one. We're working on maybe having more guests too at the same time. So we'll see about all that. Anyway, David, thank you so much for joining us for the stream today. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Coming on. And thanks everybody in the chat that viewed the stream and was helping and contributing or lurking and just listening in. We hope you got some value out of today's stream. This was Build Up Devs Live, Navigating Through the Noise, Part 2. It sounds like we're probably going to have some more parts to this. It's almost like a recurring series, because these other subtopics are kind of a part of that, right? How do you navigate through the noise of today's stuff that's going on as a developer and be able to pursue and reach your goals that you're looking to do in your career as a developer? So look for more of that in the future streams. We'll be right back here next Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 11, 12, 1, 2 p.m. GMT, UTC. I'm doing time zone math in the head. 7 a.m. Pacific Time. We'll be right back here with another Build Up Devs Live, potentially with Robert Tables again. We'll see and work on that and let you all know in the Discord. So thanks again, everybody. We hope you have a good rest of your Thursday. Bye.
Bye.